Good evening, my dear friends. In the last class, we understood by discussing elaborately the concept of registration under the GST, where we understood threshold limit for registration. If you are MMNT, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, the turnover limit is 10 lakhs per registration. If you are in PT UMAS, Pondicherry, Telangana, Uttarakhand, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, and Sikkim, in that case, turnover limit is 20 lakhs. It may be supply of goods, supply of services, or both. Rest of the states, for supply of taxable supply, 40 lakhs, supply of services, 20 lakhs. If you mix and supply, it is remains 20 lakhs. In the last class, we refer these points. Now, continuation from here. Furthermore, my dear sir, bringing here to your kind attention here is the points which has merit. The following manner I can present here the following points. Now, registration also be compulsory if you are acquire the business of another registered person, meaning thereby on account of succession, on account of amalgamation, absorption, like that. If you refer here, I will show you the content for your kind consideration. A person, basically registered person. Here, Mr. X, a registered person, whose business has been taken over by Mr. Y, who is Mr. Y is a son of Mr. X. He is a father, he is a son. So, Mr. Y acquires the business of his father. His father is already a registered person under the GST. If like that, the acquisition taken place, succession taken place, in that case, for Mr. Y, registration is compulsory. Reason, he acquired the business of his predecessor who already got registered under the GST. Now, from the date of succession, within 30 days, apply for the want of registration. Further, in the given case, my dear sir, if you look here, there are three companies: Ram Limited, Rahim Limited, and Robot Limited. All these three companies are basically registered persons. They agreed to amalgamate into a particular amalgamation process, thereby emerging as a new company, namely RRR Limited. In that case, for R Limited, registration is mandatory? Yes, irrespective of the turnover. Reason, the R Limited is emerged by taking over the business of registered persons. That's why, in the given case, from the date of certificate of incorporation obtained, from that date, R Limited should apply for the want of registration within 30 days. The 30 days count reckoned from, not from the certificate of commencement of business. It should be reckoned from certificate of incorporation, but not from certificate of commencement of business. Further, my dear friends, with this, I can say that registration under GST based on the turnover limit as well as the transaction basis, section 22 series completed. Now I am referring to section 23, which is ultimately giving the relaxation to the industry, saying that if I am a person providing supplies of goods or services, but my supplies wholly exempted. That means single rupee I have not supplied taxable nature of supplies. In such scenario, persons are required to go for registration. Section 23 blessing not to go for registration. Section 23, if you are supplying wholly exempted supplies, there is no GST at all for your supply. For example, I am supplying from a particular shop. Let us say I am supplying the goods which are goods I am supplying which are wholly exempted, namely nil rate. Am I required to go for registration? The law of the land says not required for registration. Like that, you are aware of that. There are certain goods. For example, I am selling slate and slate pencil. Slate and slate pencil, nil rate of GST. Sir, I am selling agricultural produce, tomatoes, beetroot, carrot, that and this. Agricultural nature produce. If I am supplying, then I am free from GST. There is no GST, nil rate of GST. I am an agriculturalist. Primarily, I am working as an agriculturalist and I produce the paddy. Am I liable for registration under the GST? Absolutely not. For example, I will tell you, I will show you here one small clip for your kind attention here. For example, I am telling you in the given scenario, my dear friends. Hi, my dear friends. How are you? చూడండి ఇక్కడ Rafi Sir ID Guru, faculty for CA CMA
CS.
for the past 20 years, author of the book, doing the great job as a farmer. ఎంతో ఆనందంగా ఉందండి నాకు, మనసులో ఆహ్లాద కలిగించే ఇది రైస్ అండి. ఇది రైస్ పండించేటువంటి దాంట్లో మేము ఉన్నాం. For example, I am cultivating the paddy and the paddy I produce in a particular financial year which is more than the limit for registration. For example, in a financial year 25-26 financial year, I have produced only agriculture paddy. Let us say Ma Pillai Sambar rice as an agriculturalist, which is 1000 quintals. I sold the 1000 quintals as such as a paddy, not as a rice, I am telling for the example, because it's a primary product, paddy. If I sold like that, then am I liable to pay GST? My turnover is, let us say, 60 lakhs. Am I liable for registration? Section 23 of the CGST says that not liable for registration at all. But ensure that, hey Mr. Rafi, you should not have commercial coaching and training inflow. That means I am taking classes for budding chartered accountants with taxable supply. Plus, I am also providing agricultural produce which is exempted. In that case, total together aggregate turnover exceeded the threshold limit for registration, then I am bound for registration. If I produce exclusively wholly exempted supply, then registration is not warranted. Is the meaning of it, section 23. Even though for an agriculturalist, registration is not relevant for an agriculturalist, namely for an agricultural person, he is free from registration and GST law because he is producing wholly exempted supplies. Further, my dear friends, now coming to section 24, which talks about class of persons for whom registration is mandatory irrespective of their turnover. If you refer carefully the entire outline of the GST registration chapter is this. If you refer here, my dear sir, carefully look here. Mandate registration comes into picture, section 22 threshold limit. Thereafter, amalgamation, succession and all. Thereafter, transaction based, that the basic nature of persons, section 24. What type of nature of person you are? For you, registration mandatory irrespective of your turnover, like that they have mentioned. And I already covered section 23, namely exempted supplies. So basically now we are here. Once we reach to the place of section 30, then registration chapter is going to complete for your batch. So now we are referring section 24. Section 24 talks about registration mandatory based on the nature of persons. Who are they? One by one I am referring. Now look here. Compulsory registration, when means if a person supplied taxable supplies at interstate level, taxable supplies of goods especially at interstate level, means from one state to other state, supplying of taxable goods, registration is mandatory. Look here on the screen now. A corporate company producing the goods has place of business in Mumbai, Maharashtra X Limited, is a manufacturer. After produce the goods supplied by that company to another company, let us say Y Limited, Hyderabad. Sale of taxable goods worth how much? 1 lakh rupee. In that case, for the seller company, supplier registration is mandatory irrespective of the threshold limit for registration, is the meaning of it. If you look here, registration, since interstate supply of taxable goods, registration is made mandatory. Interstate supply of taxable goods, registration is mandatory for a supplier in the given case. Now, the same you can ask as a question, sir, what happened if I supply these services for you? If you supply the taxable services at interstate level, for you, registration is compulsory only when you cross the threshold limit for registration. That provision is not applicable for supply of taxable goods at interstate level. That's why supply of taxable goods at interstate level, section 24 clause 1 specifically says that registration is mandatory. Got the clarity? Any doubt in the given case, my dear?
Yes.
Very good. Now further moving, section 24 clause 2. Compulsory registration for whom? For a casual taxable person. Who is a casual taxable person? I will explain to you first. Casual taxable person means I belongs to one state and going to another state, carrying the business on temporary basis and coming back to my own state. The state where I carry the business, where I have no place of business, where I have no address proof, in the state, my name is called as casual taxable person. Now got the clarity? My name is a casual taxable person. For example, I am Mr. Raj from Tamil Nadu selling, let us say, electronic goods. I went to state of Kerala, Cochin, where I am supplying my electronic goods for, let us say, 45 days by staying over there for 45 days. Thereafter, I am packing up and coming back to my hometown, namely Tamil Nadu state. In the state of Kerala, my name is called as casual taxable person. So now you come back and refer here. a person, Mr. Eminent Bollywood actor SRK Shah Rukh Khan, who belongs to Maharashtra state, where he has place of business, address proof, and all. Now, he came to Chennai, Tamil Nadu for carrying out certain activities, taxable supplies. In the state of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is called as casual taxable person. He wanted to have certain shootings here, certain advertisement he has to be participate as a actor, or he wanted to host anchoring here. For example, providing taxable supplies in the state of Tamil Nadu, then in the case in the state of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is called as casual taxable person, because once he completes the activities in Tamil Nadu, he will go back to his home state, namely Maharashtra. Now, for such casual taxable person in the state of Tamil Nadu, for this gentleman, registration is made mandatory irrespective of his turnover. And moreover, this particular casual taxable person is liable to pay advance tax under the GST law. We have advance tax. You are already covered advance tax concept in income tax. We too have advance tax of GST under the GST law, which is applicable only for two category of persons. One, a casual taxable person. Two, NRTP, non-resident taxable person. These two persons are required to get compulsorily registered under the GST law as a casual taxable person, followed by non-resident taxable person. For them, advance tax made mandatory. Now, let's refer here furthermore the points. Application for registration form GST REG1 for whom? For a casual taxable person, followed by provided that a casual taxable person shall apply for registration at least 5 days prior to the commencement of his business in the state of Tamil Nadu. Further, pay advance tax at least 5 days prior to the commencement of business. Now, coming to the point of advance tax, my dear, advance tax is considered how should pay. I will explain to you advance tax how should pay. Assume a scenario for this Mr. Shah Rukh Khan. He came to Tamil Nadu and wanted to stay, for example, 45 days. During 45 days, what would be his taxable supplies estimated, on which compute the GST, arrive the liability. For example, liability comes here, for example, GST liability 20 lakhs. For example, only I am telling you. Then the 20 days liability department says you pay as advance tax at least 5 days before the commencement of your business in Tamil Nadu. Then Shah Rukh Khan is asking department, you are expecting me to pay the GST in advance on estimated inflow of my income, compute the GST liability and pay the GST, you are telling me gross liability. What about my estimated expenditure where I have suffered that I am going to suffer the tax, which will be my input tax credit? Then I am eligible for input tax credit. In that case, can I deduct that input tax credit from the estimated liability and pay the balance net in the electronic cash ledger as advance tax? The department said, CBSE clarified, if you are going to pay the advance tax on your estimated inflow, then you are allowed to deduct your estimated expenditure on which estimated GST liability which comes out, whatever may be going to comes out as estimated credit, allowed deduct. So estimated liability less estimated input tax credit, the net liability if shortfall pay as advance tax. Then Shah Rukh Khan is asking, sir, I have more credit than my liability. Am I required to pay the GST? Not required to pay. Sir, if I pay the advance tax to you today, and when I am going to pack up from Tamil Nadu going to my Maharashtra state, if I come to know I paid excess amount, can I get the refund? Department says absolutely, refund will be granted to you without any doubt, with one condition: you have to file the returns properly before asking for refund. So having this points as a merit, and moving on here further. Furthermore, points are there for Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, who is a casual taxable person. Look here, points. A casual taxable person intends to extend the period of registration, indicating in his application for registration an application in form GST RAG 11 shall be submitted. So how to understand this point? First and foremost, as a casual taxable person, CTP, as a casual taxable person, how long your registration is valid means for the period of 90 days from the date of registration, or the period for which you sought for registration. Among these two dates, whichever is earlier, till the time you can be continue as a casual taxable person from the date of registration. Sir, I want to extend it furthermore. This 90 days what is I got is insufficient. I want to extend it further. Yes, allowed to extend only once by submission of form GST RAG 11. That time you have to pay 5 days before the extension advance tax. Then ask for extension. Further 90 days plus or the south for the registration period, whichever is earlier. That means 90 plus 90, totally 180 days maximum you become a casual taxable. You will be a casual taxable person in the state of Tamil Nadu. So furthermore, I want to extend it. Second time not possible. Only once possible to extend. So 90 days normal period, or further extending 90 days. These period are the period for which you sought for registration. Among the two, whichever is earlier, till the time only allowed to have a registration, to have a valid registration. After that, registration will get expires. After that period, registration get expired. For example, practically the question may be going to come in the examination of CA Inter. Suppose Mr. Shah Rukh Khan want to stay in Tamil Nadu even beyond 180 days. Can he stay? In that case, explain the provision. Simple. He cannot stay as a casual taxable person beyond 180 days from the registration. In that case, he wants to stay in Tamil Nadu because he has a love and affection in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu people is too good. Therefore, he wants to stay furthermore 180 days. Here means furthermore after expiry of 180 days, he still want to stay here. Most welcome. Department says that in that case, what you have to do is you have to apply for the normal registration. Is the procedure. Got the clarity, my dear?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Yeah. Now, can you please tell me when the advance tax should pay by cash or as a person?
5 days before submitting the applications.
Excellent. Before 5 days of submission of application. Simple. The law says prior to prior to 5 days from date of commencement of business, which is nothing but before 5 days of submission of registration. Okay. Thereafter, once he got registered, how long his registration is valid?
90 days, sir. 90 days.
The period for which he sought for registration, whichever is earlier. Further can be extended of
90 days, sir.
90 days, or the period for which sought for registration, whichever is earlier. The maximum period is
90 days.
90 days plus 90 days equal to 180 days. For extension, which form should we submit? Form GST RAG 11. As simple as this. That time also you have to pay advance tax for extension before the expiry of 5 days of expiry of the first time period. You have to pay advance tax and asks for extension. Further, my dear friends, returns. What return should be submit? He should submit Form GST REG 1. GST not REG 1, sir. GST REG 1 are supposed to submit for registration. Once you obtain the certificate of registration, he should submit Form GST R1. R means stand for return. R1. GST R1 supposed to submit. Due date of submission of GST R1 is by 11th of the following month, followed by GSTR 3B or 3B means return 3B to pay the tax or carry forward the excess credit as the case may be by 20th of the following month. Monthly has to pay the tax by the casual taxable person during the validity period of registration. By submission of a return properly, he will ask for refund if he came to know that at the time of winding up of registration he paid excess payment. That payment can ask for refund by a casual taxable person. Refund will be given to him. Further, my dear friends, as I said, no, refund can be granted to him. Whether he is required to file the annual return GSTR 9, not required to file. GSTR 9 is not applicable to him. Questions are going to come in MCQs. 15 marks out of 50, 15 marks are very much valid. MCQs compulsory. You have to get out of 15, 15. Then only your scoring will be reaching 50. Out of 50, 50 you have to get. Then whatever direct taxes is left to you at your dynamic of learning aspect on direct taxes. But GST is considered 50, you have to get 50. Mission 50. Now, casual taxable person, have you understood or not? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Now moving on to section 24 class 3. Look here. A person liable to pay GST and RCM reverse charge mechanism. What is required for him? If RCM recipient liable to pay the tax, recipient should get compulsorily should be registered. Recipient should compulsorily should get registered. For the registration, he should not look the threshold limit for registration. One example I will show you, a practical example. Look here. A supplier of services, a particular person, an individual, he is an individual, other than body corporate. He is supplying services of taxable nature, renting of motor vehicle to a body corporate. A body corporate. In that case, it is come under reverse charge where the cost of the fuel is including the cost of rent. In that case, the recipient is liable to pay the GST being a body corporate. For that recipient, for this recipient, registration is compulsory under the GST law. Is one of the example like that. RCM comes into picture, perfectly fitting with the RCM, the recipient liable to pay the tax. Recipient, even though uninsured person, if the law says recipient you have to pay the tax, for recipient registration is mandatory under GST law irrespective of the turnover. Further, my dear friends, referring here, section 24 class 4, persons who are required to pay the tax under section 9 subsection 5. Very important now. Since as a first chapter in our class, I have taken chapter number 9, registration chapter of study material of ICAI. Reason, nowadays our CA intermediate students coming to the classes with some knowledge on GST. Again, if I am going to be taught for them, basic concepts, they will bore. That is the reason I chosen first chapter for our class, chapter number 9, registration. Now, when we refer the basic fundamental aspects, we have a concept called as levy and collection. We have a concept called levy and collection. Under levy and collection, there is section 9, section 5 of the CGST refers, there are 4 categories, Raja. There are 4 category persons required to be registered. Those category of supplies comes under section 9(5). What is the first category? For example, I can say radio taxi. Here is going to say that radio taxi, or any other motor vehicle, including omnibus, very important to note. Like the transportation of goods vehicles, transport of passenger vehicle, not goods, is category 1. Category 2 here, if I am saying here accommodation, category 3 here is housekeeping, category 4 here is the cloud kitchen. In all the 4 cases, what happened, my dear sir? In all these 4 categories, which coming under the section 9(5), radio taxi means two-way communication. Omnibus suppliers other than the body corporate, if they supplying supplies through e-commerce operator or a short-term accommodation service provider who is basically an initial person, or a housekeeping service provider who basically an initial person, if they provide the services through e-commerce operator, then for e-commerce operator registration is mandatory. Cloud kitchen services other than the specified premises, if they supplied through e-commerce operator only liable to pay GST. So these points I will refer under the chapter called as levy and collection. Our reverse charge mechanism chapter we have, there I am going to refer this. For the time you understand compulsory registration for whom? To e-commerce operator. Why? He is neither supplier of services nor recipient, but he is a third party, but having his electronic platform connecting the supplier of service and recipient of service, and he generate the bill. Therefore, Mr. E-commerce operator is liable to get registered irrespective of his turnover in the case where radio taxi or omnibus other than a body corporate supplier or a particular motor vehicle of passenger transportation supplying to e-commerce operator, or otherwise a short-term accommodation service provider or a housekeeping service provider who are basically initial persons, if they provide the services through e-commerce operator, or a particular cloud kitchen services, if they provide services through e-commerce operator in all these 4 categories compulsorily should get registered under the GST law under section 24 class 4 irrespective of the turnover. In that case, my dear friends, here I am bringing notice the one example also for your kind consideration. One example here. I will remove this particular content and further I will present furthermore. Now look here. A particular cloud kitchen wala means a restaurant wala having cloud kitchen facility standalone. This for e-commerce operator, he is a customer. Then for e-commerce operator, registration is mandatory. But for cloud kitchen wala, registration is not mandatory at all, irrespective of his turnover. Only liable for registration by e-commerce operator. One of the example. You may ask a doubt, sir, what happened? Short-term accommodation service provider and housekeeping service provider, if they are the unregistered persons, they provide the service to e-commerce operator, liable to pay just by e-commerce operator. For example, that short-term accommodation service provider turnover exceeded threshold for registration, then apply for registration and obtain the certificate of registration. From that date, who liable to pay GST? Short-term accommodation, supplier liable to pay GST, not by e-commerce operator. Likewise, housekeeping service. For example, my dear, I am Mr. Rafi providing housekeeping services through Urban Club. My turnover is only 2 lakhs. I'm an initial person. I supply this through Urban Club, e-commerce operator. Now, Urban Club, as if they are the supplier of housekeeping services, they have to pay the GST to department by registering compulsorily, not by housekeeping service provider. Now, Mr. Rafi's turnover being housekeeping services exceeded, for example, 20 lakhs in the state of Tamil Nadu. Registration is mandatory for Mr. Rafi. Once he got registered, Rafi has to pay the GST under housekeeping services, not by e-commerce operator. So, out of the 4 categories, radio taxi, omnibus, or any other motor vehicle meant for transportation of passengers, second one is short-term accommodation, third one is housekeeping services, fourth one is cloud kitchen services. Among these 4, the short-term accommodation and housekeeping a unique provision. If the supplier is an unregistered person, provide these services through e-commerce operator, e-commerce operator liable to pay GST under GST law, compulsory getting registration as short-term accommodation service provider, as housekeeping service provider. How long they will pay like that means till the time the short-term accommodation as well as housekeeping service provider obtains or achieved the threshold limit for registration. Till the time e-commerce operator liable to pay GST. Whereas in the case of a radio taxi, omnibus and all, the fourth one is what? A cloud kitchen is considered irrespective of their turnover, all the time e-commerce operator only liable to pay GST. A detailed study of section 9.5 will be referred under the chapter called as levy and collection, followed by reverse charge mechanism. Is clear, my dear? Got the clarity? Very good. Further, my dear friends, section 24, class 5, NRTP. I used to call NRTP, non-resident taxable person, NRTP. Who is NRTP? I will explain to you here. My name is Ching Chong from Japan. I am not having any residence in India. I am not having any PAN number of India under Income Tax Act. Ching Chong from Japan came to India. What for? To carry out his taxable supplies for couple of days. Let us say he is going to stay 60 days in India. After that, after his supply of goods or services, he will go back to Japan, home country. So, such a person in India called non-resident taxable person. For him, registration at GST law is mandatory, my dear, irrespective of the turnover. And other one is such a person supposed to pay advance tax prior to 5 days of commencement of his business. estimated inflow on which estimated GST liability less estimated expenditure on which estimated input tax credit, if any. Only one credit is allowed to NRTP. Generally, NRTP for non-resident taxable person, he is not eligible to avail ITC. It is a blocked credit for him. However, one case ITC is allowed. When ITC can avail means, when he came to India from Japan, he might have been imported certain goods on which he paid the custom duty, one of the custom duty known as in IGST, which is additional custom duty. Such IGST, what paid by the Chingchong when he came to India from Japan, that IGST paid on imported goods alone eligible to claim ITC, not any other ITC is allowed. Is a blanket for him except only one, import of goods on which IGST paid by NRTP. Now, if he has estimated liability in India, for example, GST liability 25 lakhs. When he came to India, he paid the import duty. One of the element is IGST, which is 2 lakhs. 25 lakhs minus 2 lakhs is equal to 23 lakhs. He has to pay the GST as advance tax, even though he has any other input tax credit, not out direct. As advance tax he has to pay before 5 days of the commencement of business. Once he obtained the certificate of registration as a non-resident taxable person, that registration is valid for a period of 90 days from the date of registration or the period for which he is sought for registration, among the two, whichever is earlier, till the time he can continue as non-resident taxable person. Sir, he want to extend further, sir. Yes, allowed. Pay advance tax before 5 days of the expiry of that first registration. You have to pay advance tax, and furthermore extension is possible for 90 days as a period for which sought for registration. So maximum period of stay as a NRTP in India 180 days. Second time extension not possible. First time extension only is possible. Now, the furthermore parameters, what are the provisions applicable for NRTP? Let's look here. Registration is compulsory under GST law irrespective of turnover for NRTP. Yes. Valid passport is required for registration because he has no PAN number. Therefore, his passport will be speak much. Form GST REC09 is registration, is application for registration for NRTP. For casual taxable person, form GST REC01 for normal registration is also applied for casual taxable person. Whereas NRTP comes into picture, application for registration, form GST REC09. One can expect in the MCQs, these are all the points. Nowadays, CA intermediate advanced concept they are asking, my dear. Further, my dear, pay advance tax at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the business, provided that NRTP shall apply for registration at least 5 days before the commencement of the business. They have to file their returns, monthly return they have to file, form GSTR 5. What is the due date of filing that monthly return GSTR 5 by NRTP? By 13th day of the following month. By 13th of the following month. GSTR 5 return by NRTP. GSTR 5 return by NRTP by 13th of the following month from the end of the month. Now NRTP asking, sir, this month, February month, today, 2nd of February 2026, my registration got expired, sir. For February month return, you want me to submit by 13th of March, that Till the time I have to stay here, sir. My business is over, sir. Now going back to my home country, Japan, sir. Chung Chang is asking. Department says, in such case, if in any 1 month your registration got expired, then from the date of expiry, within 7 days, you file the return and go. Therefore, summarizing it, due date of filing the GSTR 5 by non-resident taxable person, namely NRTP, by 13th of the following month or within 7 days from the date of expiry of registration, whichever is earlier. That means today 2nd of February expiry taking place for the expiry the registration, then 7 days means 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. By 9th of February 2026 or 13th of March 2026, which is earlier 9th February. Submit the GSTR for return and fly away. If the registration not expired, then for the month of February, I have to file the return by 13th of March. Now got the clarity, my dear? This question are going to come in the examination. This has linked with the returns chapter. This is the return chapters. We have return chapters, chapter number 15. There, returns under GST. There it comes into picture again. The due date of the GST 5 by NRTP is clear.
Yes, sir.
Good. Excellent. Further, my dear friends, section 24, clause 6. You have income tax, TDS, tax, related to income tax is there. Likewise, we too have a separate concept of TDS, unlike of income tax. TDS provision we have under GST law. Section 51 of the CGST deals with this, but it is applicable only for few category of persons, not to all persons. Drawing and disbursement officers, now recently added here, the aluminium, sorry to say, the metal scrap dealer, for these two category of persons, their TDS is applicable. If so, TDS is applicable means, hey Mr. Director of TDS under GST, you should have to have a separate registration. Now, for example, my dear, Mrs. XN company is a metal scrap dealer, registered person. He want to deduct the TDS under section 51 won't deduct. But this fellow already a registered person GST law, already a registered person under GST law. Again, a separate registration wanted in GST as a TDS deductor, or the registration whatever he opted already, a normal registration is sufficient. Anybody answer to me, please? Separate TDS registration is required for XN company, or already he is registered person, that registration is sufficient. Anybody can answer this question, please? The law here very clearly says a separate registration is required as a TDS deductor, meaning thereby XN company will have two registrations. One, a regular scheme registration, normal registration in GST law. Other one is a deductor of tax at source, TDS deduction purpose. A separate registration should possess by the particular person. Therefore, registration is mandatory for a TDS deductor. TDS separate chapter, my dear, will refer to you. By the time you understand, that time again I refer to you, a director of TDS should remit to department the TDS amount after having compulsory registration, which is in addition to normal registration. Got the clarity? Which I wanted to bring with the example. Look here, one example, Baba, one simple example. Look here. A taxable person Mr. Ram, registered person, supplied the goods 2,80,000 charging the GST to Greater Chennai Corporation CGC. See, CC Chennai Greater Chennai Corporation GCC, Greater Chennai Corporation. Now, Greater Chennai Corporation is one of the DDO. Then they require to deduct the TDS. TDS is applicable for them. If so, Greater Chennai Corporation GCC should have to have a separate TDS registration and GST law irrespective of the turnover, and having that registration only allowed to deduct the TDS in the given case. See here, person liable to deduct the TDS is Greater Chennai Corporation in the given case. If so, they should deduct the TDS. Registration is mandatory as what? As TDS deductor. Further, my dear, section 24 class 7, very important, Raja. A person acting as agent for a particular principal, if the agent issued tax invoice in his own account, then such agent covered under schedule 1 point number 3. Schedule 1 point number 3. In the last class also I referred to you, for a agent who acting as agent on behalf of principal, his aggregate turnover, his own turnover plus the turnover he supplied as an agent should together have to see for registration purpose, aggregate turnover purpose. For such agent who covered under the clutches of schedule 1 point number 3, who will cover their supply of goods by the principal to his agent, where the agent undertaken to supply the goods on behalf of his principal, or supply of goods by the agent to his principal, where the agent undertaken to receive the goods. In both the cases, agent acting on his own account, supplying the invoices by his own account, and getting the invoices when he receives the goods on behalf of the principal in his own name invoice getting. In that case, such agent covered under schedule 1 point number 3. Such agent registration is compulsory. Is the meaning of it, my dear, here. So the maximum points I have covered here and there, my dear sir. Relevant for CA intermediate purpose. Yes. Now, I am now going to bring notice registration procedure. Before going for registration procedure, there is an explanation under the registration procedure. This explanation, every person who makes a supply from tidal waters of India shall obtain registration in the coastal state or union territory where the nearest point of the appropriate baseline is located. How to understand? Meaning what you know, I will show you this particular clip, then you understand more crystal clear. Look here on the screen, my dear sir. India, Raja. Now, my unit is located in territorial waters in the sea. On the surface of the sea, I have my place of business. Look here, X Limited, who makes a supply from the territorial waters of India, located at a distance of 12 nautical miles from the baseline of Andhra Pradesh, and 11 nautical miles from the baseline of the state of Orissa. So, if I located in that particular Bay of Bengal, then where I have to get registered? If I cross my threshold limit for registration, In the state of Tamil Nadu, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, should I registered? In the state of Odisha, should I registered? Where should I registered? If I have a place is in territorial waters. In that case, the solution is very clear, my dear sir. What is the nearest point of the coastal area from Andhra Pradesh to X limited in territorial waters? 12 nautical miles. From Odisha baseline to X limited only 11 nautical miles. The nearest point is, speak out please, Odisha. Therefore, you get registered in the state of Odisha, not in the state of Andhra Pradesh. That is what this particular explanation I refer to you here. This explanation I am again reading for kind consideration. Instead of my reading, somebody, my dear friend, anybody take up owner's responsibility and read this point, please. On the screen visible to all of you, please read, my dear.
Every person who makes something from the temporary workers registration goes to state or union territory where the nearest appropriate basis
Is located. Excellent. Thanks for you, ma, helping me. So, in the given case, my dear, this question may going to come in the exam. I appeared in the examination of CA Inter. Now I refer this point to you. Further, what else we are going to be faced in the examination? What else we are going to face in the examination? What is this for example? Now, this I didn't know that. Just I am refreshing that for you. Is a CA Inter ICAI material example which I brought to notice as a visualization with the help of AI, artificial intelligence. I used to use. So, the example I won't read as a theory again. Textbook theory is there, no example. Then again that example should read as example under glorious. So I brought this as a look and understand. Mittal and Sons supplier in Maharashtra has 3 units: Mumbai garment unit, Pune garment unit, Mahabaleshwar shoe unit. There are 3 units belongs to Mittal and Sons. Now, how many registrations are required in a GST law? Anybody? Mittal and Sons came as a client, your CA, to your office. Tell me, sir, how many registrations I should obtain in the given case? Speak. You have to have sportiveness to speak. How many registrations are required? More visibility you want also, I will show you on the screen. How many registrations here? Unit 1 is there, Unit 2 here, Unit 3. All the 3 in Maharashtra, which belongs to Mittal and Sons. Yes.
So one registration is enough, sir.
Enough. Excellent. Hats off to your answer. Perfectly correctly said, Amma. One registration is enough. No, sir. I want separate registration for all the 3 units in the state of Maharashtra is up to you. If that case, if you got registered separately, then there are 3 registrations into come into picture. In that case, if you supply from Mumbai to Pune or Pune to Mahabaleshwaram or Mahabaleshwaram to Mumbai, that supplies in between your units is called as a supply liable for GST, because by the time you are not one particular person in the state of Maharashtra, you treat as a 3 different persons. We call them, since one PAN number having multiple registrations, we call them distinct persons. Distinct persons. We call them distinct persons. Distinct persons. Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Mumbai. Any supplies? Apply GST. Mahabaleshwaram to Pune, Pune to Mahabaleshwaram also apply GST. Then have one registration sufficient. Sometimes no, companies willingly wanted to have separate registrations within the state. Reason, to have a segmental reporting, to have identify the individual unit performance, having separate books of accounts. It is up to the person to decide. Suppose if you have one unit in Maharashtra, other unit in Tamil Nadu, you cannot get single registration. You bound to get two separate registrations without any doubt. Further, my dear friends, with one more example, can I have voluntary registration? The law asking you most welcome. The law is providing red carpet to you. Most welcome. Voluntary registration well allowed. Even though my turnover not exceeded threshold limit for registration, compulsory registration I have not applied to me. In that case, still I want for registration because I have registered. I opened my company, for example, in the year 25-26 financial year. My turnover, for example, my dear, is only 2 lakhs. I want to have registration separate voluntarily in the same state. I have to have registration state of, for example, Tamil Nadu. Can I have voluntary registration? Yes. If obtain the certificate of registration from the date, you bound to pay GST. You can't ask, sir, I am in the state of Tamil Nadu supplying taxable goods. My total up to 40 lakhs limit is there. I actually only 2 lakhs. Therefore, I deducting balance 38 lakhs still is there. Not liable to pay GST. That limit not applied to you. You get my point. Once you obtain certificate of registration, from the day one of obtaining the certificate of registration, you have to be paid the GST on your taxable supply. You cannot say my turnover limit 40 lakhs, 2 lakhs has been over. Now balance 38 lakhs is there. Till the 38 lakhs, I am not going to pay GST. You cannot say, because you obtain the registration voluntarily, meaning thereby you willing to pay the GST. You apply for want of registration, you pay the GST. Otherwise, relax, wait till you cross the limit of 40 lakhs in the state of Tamil Nadu for supply of goods, then go for registration. Is it clear, my dear?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Yes. Further, my dear friends, one more example. Excellent point, you see. This example drawn from ICAI material with AI presentation from my desk. Now, there are two units are in front of you. Here, SCZ unit, let us say unit 1. Here, non-SCZ unit 2. Unit 1, unit 2. In the state of Uttar Pradesh, belongs to Suvarna Industries. They are the manufacturing activities in Uttar Pradesh, my dear, having two units. One SCZ, other one is non-SCZ. Non-SCZ we called as domestic tariff area. A special economic zone is a specified licensed units are there in the SCZ unit. So, SCZ unit physically located in India, technically outside India. Any supply to SCZ treat as exports, any supplies from SCZ treat as import. Now, if Suvarna Industries has two units, one in SCZ, other one is non-SCZ. Now, assume a scenario that aggregate turnover of SCZ is 22 lakhs, here 25 lakhs. Supply of goods in Uttar Pradesh, UP. UP turnover limit is 40 lakhs if you supply taxable goods. Now here 22 plus 25, it reaches to 47 lakhs. Registration is mandatory. Now, if the registration is mandatory, need to have separate registrations in the same state. Is it mandatory, or a single registration is sufficient? Because the two units, SEZ unit, non-SEZ unit, both belongs to Suvarna Industries. Both are physically located in Uttar Pradesh, one state, within the territory of Uttar Pradesh. Now, in the given case, one registration is sufficient, or compulsory there are two separate registrations are required for Suvarna Industries for SEZ1 as well as non-SEZ1. Are they required two registrations manually, or one registration sufficient?
Sir, two wishes is better, sir.
Excellent. Hats off to your answer, my dear. Reason, the law very clearly says for SEZ registration is mandatory. Non-SEZ also be mandatory even though both the units are located within the state. This is what the point here clarifies. Yes, mister, you read, my dear. This point from here you read, Raja. From here you read. From here to here.
Yes, sir. However, since in this case, one of the two units of Swarna Industries is located in this SEZ, unit belong to compulsorily make a separate application for registration as a place of business distinct from unit located outside the SEZ in the same state.
Yes, so there are two registration are warranted. This type of questions are going to come in the examination in multiple choice question or single 1 mark, 2 mark questions are there in the exam going to come. At this point of time, I am concluding session. Continuation by tomorrow. Tomorrow is a conclusion of registration chapter because I am going to take up registration procedure followed by cancellation of registration, and I am going to be wind up this chapter revocation of cancellation of registration. Thank you, my dear friends. Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you to one and all.